Hey everyone, it's Lisa and Bill, and I thought that this would be a really fun video to do. Not fun, but educational. I know it's going to help a lot of people out there who are considering a doula, and it might even help you with your birth plan a little bit, because, I mean, you can't really have a birth plan. You can have things that you'd like to happen and go in with an open mind. And
birth wishes.
Birth wishes. If it happens, great. If it doesn't, you can't get torn up about it, because shit happens, literally. So this video is going to be about why we are happy that we used a doula. In case anybody out there is wondering what a doula does for you, anything like that. So basically I want to go through the birth plan, and we're going to talk about how the doula helped us with that part of it, or whatever else comes up, because when Bill's here, he remembers a lot of stuff that I don't remember, and he offers a lot of good information, because while I was puffing and puffing and puffing there during my labor, he was with the doula the whole time, and she was telling him what to do, and they were working together. So this is what we're going to do. This is probably going to be a little bit of a lengthy video, but it'll be worth it if you're considering a doula. If you want to pick up a pen and notebook and take notes with how we did our birth plan, because my doula did help me with my birth plan. So that being said,
what is a doula?
What is a doula? A doula is a birth coach. I mean, she helps you emotionally, physically, anything you need her to do while you are going through labor, she will do. Whether it's take pictures, whether it's fight for your placenta in our case, anything you need her to do. If you need her to tell family members, listen, you can't be in the room right now, she will do anything you need her to. Our doula was our angel, and I love her. She also happens to be a midwife, so we had a little bit of a bonus there, because she knew a lot of stuff. She got along with my doctor really well, and the main thing that Bill pointed out earlier is what you said. She knows how to talk to the nurses.
Well, in our case, this isn't her first rodeo.
Yeah.
She's been doing it for a long time.
She's delivered hundreds of babies. Yeah.
So she knows the processes. She knows a lot of the local hospitals, right, what their policies are. So it's she gave us an idea of what we might have to fight for in the case of the placenta. So she knew a lot of the ins and outs, where if it was just the two of us, we would pretty much have to take the doctor's and nurse's word
for everything. Yeah.
Because we don't know any better. Because this is our first time. Yeah. So hopefully it's second.
The big thing for me was Bill and I, when it comes down to pressure situations, if we were on one of those game shows where you had to figure something out in a matter of seconds, we would not win that, because we butt heads. As far as it comes, when I'm stressed out, or when we're both stressed out, we butt heads. I wanted him to be there for me. What are you gonna say?
No, I'm just agreeing with you more than 100%.
Yeah. So we butt heads in certain situations, and in that situation, for me personally, I wanted him to be next to the bed, holding my hand, rubbing my head, touching my hair a little bit, telling me I'm doing a good job. We took the Bradley method class, which my doula also taught. She's certified to teach the Bradley method, so that was amazing.
Totally worth it.
She kept telling him, Bill, go do this, go do this. So she told him what he could do for me, because we already knew our personalities and what I did and did not want him to do. Mm-hmm. I wanted him to be there for me. I didn't want him to see anything down there, number one. I wanted him to be able to massage my back and to help me and help me through labor, which he did totally. I sat on the ball, he massaged my back, he sat with me, he just kind of held me. It was great.
To quickly sum up, what she needed was moral support. She did not want to have to tell me to do anything, so that we could bicker about, I didn't do that fast enough, or it's too loud, or it's not this, it's not that. Just sit there and
be there for me.
Be there for her.
Be there for me, yes.
And because that's what would have happened.
I did not want to bicker. I did not want to argue. It's not a time for me. I just wanted to be zen, zone everybody out, and have my thing. And if I needed anything, I looked at him, and he knew what to do for me. And he was amazing in that part. And it was because the Bradley method class, which I strongly recommend, taught him a lot about what was going to happen during labor.
Oh yeah. You learn entirely too much.
It's amazing though. And then my doula is there for all of the extra stuff. So I want to Okay, so I'm going to read through my birth plan. Again, this was our birth wishes. I knew going in, this might not happen. This might get thrown out the window. Everyone was like, you can't have a birth plan. But there was certain things in my head that I knew I wanted to happen that could happen. But you have to let the nurses and doctors know, listen, I want this, I don't want that. If you don't tell them that, they don't know, and they just do what they normally do, you know? So it's like, there were certain things that I definitely wanted, like John Mayer playing the whole time I was in labor. Bill was in charge of that. And it happened. He sang her right out. He sang her right out of the cha. Anyway.
26 hours of John Mayer is entirely too much.
It's never too much. Okay, so basically the top says William and Lisa's birth preferences. This is something that I gave to my gynecologist, and she gave it to the nurses in the hospital, and everybody had already read it. When I walked in, everybody had already read it, which I was amazed by. The nurses came in and said, I just read your birth plan, so you want this, this, this. I was like, that's great, awesome. So in the beginning, it says, this document is intended to express the preferences and desires we have for the birth of our baby. We look forward to sharing our birth experience with you at this hospital. We have prepared ourselves for a natural birth by attending classes in the Bradley method. We realize that situations may arise, such as that our plan cannot and should not be followed. However, we hope that you will be able to help keep us informed and aware of our options so that we can make well-informed decisions. Thank you for taking the time to review this and helping us achieve our goal of a natural birth. That's the intro. There's the intro to our birth wishes. The first part is labor. So I have it outlined, labor. And then there's just a bunch of bullets underneath labor. So it says, underneath labor, it says, we respectfully request that all procedures will be discussed with us before they are performed. Informed consent is required for each and every procedure and medication introduced to our situation. Please do not assume that we are comfortable with your standard protocol. Bill will remain with Lisa at all times during the birth process. Also, our doula, Lisa, will be allowed to remain with us at all times to provide emotional support, information, and natural methods of pain management, and also to take photographs. Lisa's mother will also be allowed in the room during labor and delivery. For us, we had to let them know who was going to be in the room, who the person was. We were really only allowed 2 people, but I wanted my mom in there too, and my doctor got that for me. So, yeah. And as far as the procedures and medications, my doula took care of all that. I don't even know what happened. She talked to the nurses and said, no, she doesn't want that. Yes, she wants that. She takes care of all that business for you so that you could sit there, be in the moment, and just go through your labor. I don't want to have to deal with all this extra stuff, and she knows her stuff. So like nurses came in and said, can we do this? Can we do this? And she said, no, you could do that, but she doesn't want that. Thank you. That's what she's there for. It also says, our wishes for a natural birth are respected. We respectfully request that our wishes for a natural birth are respected, and all drugs of any kind will not be offered unless emergencies arise. We respectfully request that Lisa will be free to walk, change positions, and use the bathroom as needed and desired, including laboring in the tub and use of a birthing ball, birthing bar, and stool. And I did all of those things. I did every single one of those things.
And actually, I don't think they brought up the word epidural. Until
the doctor came in at like 19 hours to talk about it.
Yeah, I was going to say probably like 6. Is it 6 p.m.?
Mm-hmm.
So we got to the hospital at midnight?
Yeah.
Midnight. And then, yeah, I want to say it was probably not till like, we probably didn't hear the word epidural until about 6 o'clock.
And the only reason I needed that was because she said, Lise, you did great. You got 19 hours of natural labor in. She said, but she's not coming down. Her chin is up. You need to have an epidural so that you're relaxed down there, and she comes down.
That was right after, because, again, the doula took her off the bed and...
had the rebozo.
Yes.
She was rebozoing the hell out of me.
She was moving you. She was moving everything around.
I was in a weird position on the floor where my knees were... My ass was in the air. My knees and my face were on the floor because she had the rebozo under my belly, and she was trying to move Gemma on her own. And I'm telling you right now, she would have moved Gemma. I think she would have moved Gemma, but my doctor came in and interfered and said, we got to speed this up.
Well, she came in the room, said, get on the table, get on your back, and
she wanted to check me again.
And that was that.
Yeah.
And after that,
it had been a long time though. At that point, it was what, 19 hours?
16 hours.
It was a long time by that time.
No.
So
18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and then you didn't actually get the epidural till...
like 9 o'clock.
No, 11. You've only had it for an hour.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
You got it at 11.
I had her at 1.
You had it at 11.
Yeah.
And at midnight, the doctor came in and said, "You're having this kid."
Yeah.
And that's when.
That was it.
That's when it started.
Yeah.
So yeah.
See, he remembers stuff that I don't remember.
You only had it for an hour.
Okay. Plus, I was completely out of it. So
at that point, you were tired.
We respectfully request that Lisa prefers not to have an IV, but understands that an IV site will be administered for emergency. She will be allowed to eat and drink during labor as desired to maintain energy and hydration. And my doula, I had to have an IV because my water broke and it was premature labor, and they wanted to have it in me just in case something happened. So I had to have an IV. But you know what? It's on here because if you don't have to have one, because a lot of places don't require one if there's no emergency, but because my water broke and I was 35 weeks, they wanted to have it in. She said, "I just want to put this in. We're not going to use it unless we have to, because if there's an emergency, they need to administer, something." So I had to have an IV. Oh no, I wasn't able to eat either. They wouldn't let me eat. I had ice chips. I chewed on a piece of gum for like 9 hours, the same piece of extra spearmint gum. And then at 4 a.m, after I had her at 1, I put a turkey sandwich away like nobody's business. We respectfully request that a quiet, soothing environment will be maintained with dim lights, music of our choice, and minimal interruptions. I also requested, I did not want any, and no offense to anybody out there, but I personally did not want any students in my room. I didn't want anybody training. I didn't want anybody watching any other procedures. I just didn't want that in my room. I just wanted the doctors and nurses who were already hired and certified to be in my room. Because they actually asked me, "Can we bring students in?" And I said, "You know what? That's really something that I really didn't want." I've just had bad experiences with that before. So, yes. Medical induction will be avoided, including stripping of membranes, amniotomy, cervidil, and Pitocin. I ended up needing Pitocin at 19 hours because she said, "You got to get some Pitocin in you because your contractions are slowing down," because she's stuck. Her head was up. So
that was right around the time they did the
epidural. Yeah. So I needed Pitocin, but I went a long time without it. Should any additional family or friends arrive, they will be asked to wait patiently in the family lounge until we have time to bond with our baby after birth. So that is the whole labor part. And my doula made all that happen. Actually, I think after a certain amount of time, my doula put my mom in the waiting room because my mom was so tired. She had been there all day. She went and showed my mom where to sit. She goes, "You know what? I'll call you back when something's happening," because there was nothing happening and there was no place really to sit in there. I mean, my mom was sitting on a folding chair. That's not comfortable for how many X hours, Yeah. So she kind of took care of my mom too. Like, she made sure she was comfortable, and she just got along so well with everybody. She even got along with the doctor. My doctor said, "Normally I don't get along with a lot of these doulas." She said, "But I really loved yours." So I was happy about that. The next section is delivery. It says, "We respectfully request that an episiotomy will not be performed unless medically necessary. Instead, the perineum will be massaged and hot compresses will be applied. Lisa would rather tear than have an episiotomy." That's just something we learned during Bradley method, that I do not want to be cut. I would rather tear. And if you take the Bradley method, it explains why. Use of vacuum and forceps will be avoided. If one is to be chosen, it would be vacuum in the event of needing this. We ended up needing the vacuum. While I was pushing, her head wouldn't come out because, like I said, her shoulder was
stuck on your pelvis.
Something was stuck. So I saw them take this little tiny thing. I would never have guessed it was a vacuum.
I only saw it in the very end when they took it off her head.
Yeah, it was like this big.
All I know is the doctor was freaking 2 hands wrist deep in you, digging around, moving her around to try and get her shoulder off your pelvis.
So
that was fun.
Basically, little tiny thing on her head, and it was literally on her head for like less than a minute, because all she needed was a little tug, and then she took it off and she came out on her own. So the umbilical cord will be cut once it has stopped pulsating. Bill would like to cut the cord. So the umbilical cord was not cut until it was done pulsating. Bill did not cut the cord.
I never wanted to cut the cord.
I really wanted him to, but he didn't want to. But my mom was standing right there, and she ended up doing it because she was right there. She was so excited.
She was like, oh!
She's like, I'll do it. It was awesome, yeah. The placenta will be allowed to deliver spontaneously and naturally, which it did. We will be taking our placenta home with us. If meconium is present, we were told that a small piece of placenta can be sent to pathology and the rest can come home with us. It is important for us to encapsulate our placenta. This is another thing. You have to fight for your placenta if you want to do this, because a lot of hospitals will not tell you that they only need a small portion of the placenta, like this big, to send off to be tested if there is meconium present, and then you could take the rest of it home. So you just have to do your research and make sure that you're educated, because my doula...
Talk to your doctor.
Talk to your doctor.
And if possible, the hospital staff.
Yeah.
But
my doula, I mean, she, as soon as that thing came out, she said, well, it's her placenta, why can't she have it? And the doctor said she could have it. And whoever the nurse was that was in there...
started to fight.
She was arguing with the doctor and my doula. And my doula and doctor were both fighting for me. So that was good. That was good.
Yeah.
It's your placenta. You get to keep it. The next portion is called baby care. It says, we respectfully request that the baby will be placed on Lisa's chest after birth and Lisa will be allowed to breastfeed immediately. That happened. They put a blanket on me. They put her right up. She was covered in all the white gooey stuff that I still, like to this day, I could still remember what she smelled like. Like, oh my God, it makes me want to cry. And they did tell me, though, that if she came out and she was not crying, that they would have to take her away for a minute.
When she came out, they took her over to a table that was 5 feet away from the bed. You know, they measured her, they weighed her, they did whatever else they do to her, and she wailed like a banshee.
Yeah, yeah. They said as long as she's crying, you could hold her right away. But if she's not crying, then we need to check her out. So she was wailing. Yeah.
Yep.
The baby will not be bathed, but wiped down. Bill and Lisa would like to help with the first bath. So yeah, that's what they did. They wiped her down, and we got to give her a bath the next day, I think, or maybe 2 days after. I think it was 2 days. Yeah. Lisa will be allowed to hold the baby with skin-to-skin contact during the first hour to regulate baby's body temperature. And I did. She was on me for a while. I don't even know how long. It was amazing. Best thing ever. You guys, you have to do skin-to-skin if you're given the opportunity. If the baby must go to the nursery or NICU, Bill or someone we designate will be allowed to accompany her. The baby will be exclusively breastfed. Please do not give supplements such as formula, glucose, plain water, or pacifiers. And in Gemma's case, the first night she did okay. She was okay.
She did great.
The second day she did okay. And then after the second day she stopped eating. And they said that's what they do. They come out, they're all excited, and then they just kind of slow down because it's too much work. It was too much work for her to suck. So after the second day, they had to supplement with formula, and they had to actually give her a little feeding tube in her nose because she wasn't sucking and swallowing the way they wanted her to. And it took 10 days because, well, no, I would say it took, 10 days.
She was in the NICU for 10 days.
She was in the NICU for 10 days, and I think they took the feeding tube out like 3 days before she came home, maybe 4 days. I can't remember. But so in that case, she did need to be supplemented with formula until we came home. And then I was home for about a week and a half. And I went to see my lactation consultant, and I was exclusively breastfeeding by the next day. So it just worked like that. The next section is emergency care, and this is the last section. And I have it's just as like an outline, like for school. Emergency care. It says, we respectfully request that if a cesarean is necessary, we will be informed of all procedures and allowed to actively participate in all decision making. Bill will be allowed to be present during the surgery. Lisa will be allowed to remain conscious with an epidural. General anesthesia will be reserved for only an emergency. Since skin to skin is not allowed for mom immediately after the C-section, we request that Bill is able to do skin to skin immediately after baby girl is born. And it says Lisa will be allowed to hold the baby, and she will be allowed to breastfeed as soon as possible after the birth. And that's just the emergency things, because there was certain things I was like, if I can't do skin to skin, I want him to do skin to skin. Like, that was so important for me. Yeah, so that was all that. And then at the very bottom, I put a little disclaimer in, and it says, please know that we have struggled with infertility and do not take our decisions concerning our baby girl's care and health lightly. We are firm in our beliefs that we can all work together as a team to provide the best individualized care for mom and daughter, and that includes informed consent, mutual respect, and an open mind. Thank you so very, very much from the bottom of our hearts for your time and loving care during the most amazing moment of our lives. And that's it. And the nurses were all really cool. They're like, oh, we just read your birth plan. This is really nice. And most of it, for the most part, was honored. And that made me really happy. This is jiggling all over the place. So my doula came after I was in labor for maybe 8 hours. We got there at midnight. She showed up at what, like 9 or 10?
In the morning?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It was like 9 or 10 because my contractions were really far apart. And she said, you know, I kept calling her, you know, and talking to her. When she got there, we walked up and down the hall of the hospital. I was in the tub. She had me on the ball. She had me in different positions. We used the birthing bar. We used the stool. We tried everything. And it was great because I didn't stop moving. And you know what? I felt like when you don't stop moving, you're not in as much pain because you're in different positions, you know? Mm-hmm. Also, the bed that I was in for the hospital was super cool because the bottom came down and then the top came up and it turned into like a chair, like a lazy boy chair, but it had these grips on the handle, and those grips, man, were lifesavers because every time a contraction came, I held on to those joysticks and I just, you know, I held on and squeezed the hell out of them. But she was really good. We walked up and down. She came over. She talked to me. She told me how to breathe, you know, like horse lips. She's like, do horse lips. You have to go, because honestly, it looks so stupid, but it felt so good to breathe out like that and let your lips just go like that. What do you remember the most?
To me, the most important part was the way she was able to interact with the doctors and the nurses, because we didn't know anything that was happening. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we trusted her over the doctors because some of the stories that I've heard, you know, are just terrible. So it's like, okay, if you're saying that this can be done, fight for us. Yeah. And that was absolutely worth it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Especially because the placenta part for us was so important that you had that. And yeah, without her, I don't know if that would have happened.
And because she had delivered so many babies, she knows what she was doing. So she actually helped when I was pushing. She held one of my legs. She took pictures of everything while it was happening, which I told, that was one huge thing for Bill. I said, I don't want me or you to be taking pictures. I want you with me. I want us to be in the moment. I want somebody else to have to worry about taking the pictures. So it was so nice. She did a whole photo shoot while I was in labor that I didn't even know she was taking pictures at sometimes. But I have a whole book that I made, a Shutterfly book of my labor and delivery. That's only for me and Bill. You know, I let my mom and my aunt see it, but it's got graphic pictures in there. But it's for me to remember. Because
that's the thing too is we told you told her that you didn't want pictures of Gemma coming out. Mm-hmm. But she took them anyway?
She took them anyway. I distinctly remember her asking me while I was pushing, do you want a picture? Do you want a picture? And I said, going into the whole thing, I had told her, I don't want any pictures of that down there. But that in that moment, I told her yes. I said, yeah, just do it. Huh?
I don't remember that.
Yeah. She asked me and I said, yeah. She goes, is it okay? Is it okay? And I said, yeah. So then she took pictures. And I have pictures of her coming out now, and it might be gross to some people, but I just think it's amazing. I was able to carry her and deliver her, and I don't ever want to forget that moment. So it was amazing that she was able to take pictures for us. She left after that. She did come back the next day and sat with me in the NICU for a while and tried to get Gemma to latch on, which she did a few times, but because she was so early, it took her a while to really learn. But she was awesome as far as like helping me with breastfeeding stuff. I would just have to say, like, between the phone calls and the texting, and your doula is like this is my soul support. Like, he's my husband, he's the father, and he was there the way I needed him to be there. I just wanted him to be there to rub me and to talk to me and just be there and not have to do anything else. I don't want to argue about anything. So having Lisa, our doula, there to do all those extra things, and to be so educated, and to, you know, the nurse would come in and say, this is what's happening next, and we would say, what does that mean? And she would explain it all to us, like our
leading up to the delivery. You texted her left and right too. Every type of question that you have, you were texting her.
Yep. So I trusted her judgment so much, and she didn't steer us wrong at all. I mean, I love her. And she actually got along really well with my doctor. My doctor was shocked when she found out she was a midwife too. So they were like talking and deciding what they were going to do. And I think they kind of worked as a team, because my doctor was so amazing that she actually let me in labor longer than I should have, because she knew how badly I wanted it. Yeah, she stretched some rules for me because she really knew how bad I wanted it. And she, you know, we've been with her for a long time. I really like her. So yeah, she was pretty amazing. And the way that she worked with my doula together was perfect. So yes, I'm actually a doula. I went through, I'm certified. So I know a lot of what you're taught and stuff. And it's an amazing thing. It's just, for me, it didn't work out because I also do hair. So to have somebody call you at any moment of the day, and then you have hair appointments booked, it's too hard. I mean, there's no way you're going to cancel hair appointments. So I had to pick one or the other. So I like doing hair. You know, right now it works out better because I'm home with Gemma. So, but I know what's involved, and it's a lot. And doulas are amazing. And if you have the chance to get one, I would absolutely, it is completely worth every penny that you are going to pay, because they take care of everything that you don't want to have to take care of that day. And they're at your beck and call, and they know their stuff. So yeah. And they've seen it all, because I remember Lisa was standing next to me and I asked her, I'm like, did I poop? Did I poop on the table? She's like, Lisa, I've seen it all. I've seen it all. Don't worry about it. If you do, you won't even know it happened. You won't even know, you know, like, yeah, she wasn't grossed out. Like, it's just second nature to them. So anything else? Oh, and then I remember after the doctor came in and told me I needed the epidural, because I know I was crying, and I said I went 19 hours with no epidural. I did so good. And Lisa said, you know what? You're gonna have your vaginal birth, and that's all that matters. She said there are some situations where you need the epidural. There are some situations where you need the Pitocin. She said, and I would not tell you otherwise. She said, you're doing the right thing. You need the epidural. You need the Pitocin. She said, don't be hard on yourself. You're getting your vaginal birth. And she made me feel so much better about that as well too. So I was so hung up on having a natural birth, but after I had that epidural, man, it felt pretty damn good. I didn't feel a damn thing. I didn't even feel when they did the epidural. I remember I told the guy who did the epidural that I was going to kiss his face. I remember that. And he told me to spit out my gum, so I had to spit out my gum after chewing it for so long. Yeah, she was my emotional support. She was my physical support. She was my assistant. She was my manager. She was everything that I needed her to be. And it was awesome. And Bill was exactly where I needed him to be, thanks to the Bradley method. I mean, like, the Bradley method teaches husbands how to be a coach. So, yeah. So I just wanted to put this out there and let everybody out there know, you know, what's involved. If you have any questions about my birth plan or birth wishes, let me know. It's just our outline. That was the outline I used, and it worked out very well for us. That's it. So if you guys have any questions about this, leave them below and I will answer them. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it helped some of you that are on the fence about getting a doula, because I would completely recommend it.
And do it again.
And I will definitely do it again next time. Amazing experience. Amazing experience. And I definitely recommend the Bradley method class. You can't put all your eggs in one basket like with the birth plan, but you can write out a thing of wishes like this. This is stuff that I know we wanted to happen. And hope for the best. And hope for the best, yeah. I mean, I that's how I went into it. I'm like, you know what? This may or may not happen. If it happens, amazing. If it doesn't, I'm not going to be crushed. So this was just a little helpful for us. And that is all. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and we will see you guys soon in another video.